Once upon a time, in a distant and powerful kingdom, there was a young prince named Zion. He was loved by his people and known for his kindness, but fate had other plans for him. One day, while traveling through the woods, a fierce and sudden storm struck. As the storm grew stronger, Zion's horse panicked and bolted through the trees. The prince held on tightly, but the wind howled, and the rain blurred his vision. Suddenly, a low branch struck him, and he fell to the ground, unconscious. Hours passed, and when Zion finally opened his eyes, the storm had ended. The forest was silent except for the distant sound of water. Drenched and weak, he struggled to stand, realizing his horse was gone, and so was his way home. Desperate and scared, Zion started walking. The forest was vast and unfamiliar, and every sound made his heart race. But he knew he couldn't stay still, he had to find help. After hours of walking, Zion stumbled upon a small stream. He knelt down, cupping the cold water in his hands, drinking eagerly, but the loneliness still weighed heavy on his heart. As he rested by the stream, he heard soft footsteps approaching. Zion looked up, and there stood a village girl, carrying a basket of herbs, her eyes filled with curiosity and kindness. "Are you hurt?" she asked softly. Zion nodded, too tired to speak. Without hesitation, the girl offered her hand, her gentle smile giving him a glimmer of hope. She led him through the woods to her village, a simple place, filled with warmth and laughter. Zion had never seen such a life before, but something about it felt right. The village girl's family welcomed Zion without question. They offered him food, clean clothes, and a place to rest, kindness he had never known in the palace. Days turned into weeks, and Zion slowly adapted to village life. He learned to help with chores, played with the children, and found joy in simplicity. One day, while helping in the fields, Zion looked around and realized how much he had changed. The arrogance of a prince had faded, replaced by the humility of a hard-working young man. As the seasons changed, so did Zion's heart. He found joy in the simple life, the laughter of children, the warmth of the villagers, and the kindness of the village girl who had saved him. One evening, as they walked along the riverbank, Zion realized how much the village girl's kindness had changed him. Their bond had grown deeper, and his heart felt at home. But peace was not meant to last. One day, a royal messenger arrived, bringing news from the palace, and with it, a choice Zion never thought he'd have to make. The letter held the king's seal, a summons for Zion to return and claim his place at the palace. The life he had left behind was calling him back. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Zion sat by the river, the letter in his hands and his heart heavy. The life he had built here felt more like home than the palace ever had. The village girl sat beside him, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. She said nothing, but her presence spoke of understanding and a sadness they both shared. When dawn broke, the village gathered to say their goodbyes. Zion stood at the entrance, his belongings packed, his heart heavy. The village girl stood apart, silent tears in her eyes. As he walked away, Zion turned back one last time. The village girl raised her hand in a silent farewell, and the pain of parting settled deep in his heart. At the palace, Zion was welcomed with honor, but as the gates closed behind him, his heart remained in the village, with the life and love he had left behind. Though surrounded by wealth and luxury, Zion felt emptier than ever. The village's warmth and simplicity called to him, and the girl he left behind haunted his every thought. At night, under the endless sky, Zion's thoughts always returned to the village and to her. The stars above seemed closer than the life he longed for. One day, a letter arrived from the village. Zion's hands trembled as he opened it, his heart pounding with both hope and fear. As he read the letter, his heart pounded. The words carried both sorrow and urgency, something had changed in the village, and he knew he had to return. Without hesitation, Zion mounted his horse and rode away from the palace. He had made his choice, his heart belonged to the village. As he reached the village, dust rose beneath his horse's hooves. Villagers turned in surprise, their eyes widening as they recognized him. He saw her standing there, her eyes wide with disbelief. For a moment, they simply looked at each other, no words were needed. The villagers gathered around, their smiles warm and welcoming. Zion had returned, not as a prince, but as one of them. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Zion and the village girl sat together, knowing that this was where they truly belonged. Under the starry sky, Zion and the village girl walked hand in hand, their hearts filled with love and hope for the future.